Suicide. Which way does one go backwards? Because I mentioned you don't solve your problems, you go backwards. Yes, you commit suicide, you are stuck in your astral body for an extended period of time, which means you don't have a physical body, you're still attached to all the external physical things and relationships that you left behind and desires that you had and so on like that. But now you're stuck in a body that does not give you a facility to fulfill any of those. You see, ghost body, that's what ghosts are. They're spirit souls without a physical body, stuck in their astral body, their mental body. And then eventually you'll get another birth, but it's very unlikely you'll get a human birth. You know, it's all up to a lot of factors, karma and so on, but nonetheless, it's very unlikely. So now you're in a body that doesn't give you any facility to understand the things we talked about tonight. Spiritually, it's bad karma. It's a spiritual setback. Yeah, in many ways. So there's no solution here, but there's a lot of problems created as a result. See, but the point is we're trying to solve our problems by doing this, but this is our concocted solution. It's not the Vedic solution. It's not the solution of yoga. See, there is a real solution. We don't listen to that stuff. We come to our own conclusions. I'll do it my way, and this seems like the only thing don't exist. I mean, existence is so painful. It's so heavy. It's just, I can't take it anymore kind of thing, that I'll just cease to exist. That's what we're trying to do when we commit suicide. I will cease to exist. I don't want to exist any longer. But we're eternal spirit souls. You can't achieve non-existence. It does not exist. Non-existence doesn't exist. Existence is eternal. It's a given. So therefore, without this knowledge, we do stupid things. And we pay a big price. It's unfortunate. How to stop worrying. Don't worry. Just be happy, just be happy. Actually, we're worried because we don't have any security. Really, this worry comes from insecurity. In the material world, there's no security here. And so, therefore, we worry about everything. The unknown is always in front of us, Are we worried about what we did? I shouldn't have done. I'm worried what's going to be the result of what I did. Either from getting caught, I haven't been caught yet, or the damage to my relationship, or the karma that I created, or whatever. So the world is a place of worry. And that's why we, are so prone to intoxication. Another reason is because, when I'm so out of it from some type of intoxication, I just don't worry about it. I don't care, One time I dislocated my shoulder in a remote area of Scotland, and it was, I don't know if you ever dislocated a shoulder, but it's really, really painful, And so, anyways, middle of the night in Scotland, and 1 o'clock in the morning, a remote place, my shoulder's dislocated anyway. So, it was an hour and a half to the nearest hospital, and, that didn't sound too good. So we called, and but 20 minutes later, the paramedics came, Oh, great. This wasn't the first time I dislocated. So I thought, oh, great. They just come and put it back in, and it'll just be, great. But the guys come in, the guy and the girl, and I said, hey, man, put my shoulder back in. It's really hurting. I mean, it really hurts. Dislocated shoulder is no fun. And the guy said, oh, we can't do that. We're not allowed to do that. I said, what do you mean you're not allowed to do that? He said, no, all we can do is take you to the hospital. I said, man, that's an hour and a half away. He said, oh, but that's all right. He said, we got laughing gas, He said, it won't help the pain, but you don't care about it. I said, okay, so I'm sucking on this laughing gas. You know, it was really painful, but I don't care, man. It's just like, all the way to the hospital, just laughing, you know. My friend Neil, yeah, you want to hit it? Just, man, it's really good stuff, you know. You know? Yeah, so that's kind of the way it is, you know. We're just trying to get through it, you know. Yeah, I don't care, you know. But really, we do care, you know. So really, again, the only one solution is to be on a stable platform of life. You're in the hands of the divine, really. I mean, the baby is not worried. Why? Because he's in the arms of his mother, and the baby is feeling totally secure, totally protected. He's not worrying, oh, is mom going to drop me? Oh, it's way down there at the floor. You know, mama, you really good at this or what? You know, you strong enough? You know, he doesn't care. You know, he's just laying there and he's all tight and secure and, you know, milk factory right on tap. And, you know, he's just like feeling, life is good, no worries. Then he grows up. Then but the mom's worried, oh, my baby, what's he going to do? You know, is he going to die? Is he going to, you know. So if we're in the arms of the divine, then we don't worry. You're secure. Yeah, you deal with problems. It's going to be stuff, but you're not worried about it. This is the point. You deal with it. We're not saying be on some kind of psychic trance and you know, like some immobilized guy. You deal with whatever you got to deal with, and that's a lot. Believe me. You're going to deal with all kinds of stuff. It's going to happen. But you don't worry about it. You just do what you got to do and move on. See, because your life is another life. You're on another dimension. You see. And now, you know, death comes, you don't worry about it. Cancer, oh, don't worry about it. You deal with it, if you got to do this, whatever, but you're not worried. There's a whole difference in dealing with something and worrying about it. So that's the really own solution. This spiritual lifestyle that we promote and live is the only solution. I don't care what other solution somebody may offer you, it will not work. This is the only one. It's you know, spiritual necessity. What if you don't know what is giving you anxiety, but you experience it periodically for apparently no reason? There is a reason. It's material life. That's the reason. My mom, I remember she died at 92, so when she was quite old, she'd say, I'm so afraid, you know. I'd say, Mom, what are you afraid of? I don't know, I'm just afraid, you know. She wasn't defining, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to die, or I'm afraid. It was just like you're saying. You don't even know what it's from. It's just no reason, but it's there, you know, because it's material life. This whole world, we're in a psychic condition of anxiety. And it doesn't have to be exactly something, oh, my exam, or, oh, you know, my boyfriend is going to leave me, maybe, or, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be some defined source. It can just be, in general, this material world puts me in anxiety. Yeah. So the solution, again, whether it's specific or unknown, is go to another dimension of life. And then you're not in anxiety. And if you are in anxiety, because we got three things. We got the physical body, we got the mental body, and we got us. Okay? Now, just because I theoretically know that I'm spirit soul, doesn't mean the mind and the body are completely now different. They still got what's there, you see. So we may be carrying a lot of psychic damage or psychic garbage around. But when the anxiety comes, I'm not that anymore. It used to be me. I identified with the mind. So when my mind was experiencing anxiety, I was in anxiety. But now I'm separating myself from the mind and the body, and I'm not that. So I'm like an observer to their situation, their problems. I know a girl, and actually it was the same girl I just already referred to. She had cancer. We were really good friends for a long time. I introduced her to this process, and she, really, got very involved and serious for many, many, many years till she left her body. But anyway, by nature, she had all kinds of anxiety and depression. I mean, she came from a family that was basically racked with mental problems. One brother committed suicide. Her aunt was a nutcase. Her mother was like, just all over the place. And she was carrying around that same load also, see. And so even after she knew all these things and she was chanting and she was living the yoga lifestyle, her psyche would sometimes put her in these depressed or, anxiety-ridden conditions of mind. But she didn't pay attention to it because now she's an observer watching it. And it didn't drag her around, like it did before. And she just went on. She just continued on her work of teaching this yoga system and applying all these teachings to her life. And whether she felt, like this or like that, she just did it anyway. And it just took her right through all of it, see. So it's a completely different thing. She had the anxiety psychically, but it wasn't her. And she knew it, she observed it, she dealt with it by basically just, and she did fine. And she was so, and when you don't think, dying of breast cancer is a little, cause for anxiety? It didn't, She was, I was with her. I saw her for many, many years, going through 7 years of this stuff. Completely different. I've had several friends, close friends with cancer that died of cancer that followed these teachings, and their whole attitude toward that event was amazing, So that's how you do. So the answer is you're still in the material world on a material platform relating to a material identity, and therefore you're going to experience these things. Some are more prone to it than others. Some karma puts us in more vulnerable positions than others, and so on. But still, it's everybody's like that. Do mantras help panic attacks? Absolutely. When the panic attack comes or the anxiety comes, that's when even if you're chanting mantras, you go and you take shelter in the mantras. See, it's not that you know the mantras, maybe you did it this morning, but now you have a panic attack or an anxiety attack, and you don't even do it. See, that's like drowning and don't grab onto the life vest. I wore it this morning. Guys out there drowning. Oh, but I had the life vest on this morning. I don't need it now. You see? No, this is for us. This is the shelter, the protection. You see, you go there, you allow it to take care of you, and it will. So you having a panic attack, chant the mantras. The panic attack deal there, go into the mantra world. Don't stay in the panic world. You can do these things. First time, probably not. Second time, probably not. But you continue to go and take shelter there, and that becomes your real shelter. Real shelter. See? It's a way of life. It's automatic. Like the kid, back to the kid and the mom. Now the kid's out of this stage, and it can run around a little bit. So it gets a little adventuresome. And it walks off a little distance from the mom. I'm independent, I'm out on my own. And then there's something that scares the kid or something. And what does it do? Immediately it runs and grabs onto mom, because that's his shelter. He knows that. Mom is my protection. See, we have to understand it like that and do that. What does it say? We should be like little children, because, they are dependent on mom. So we must be dependent on the divine. Why sometimes we don't want to change or resist to it? There's it's an individual thing, and it's not the same for everybody. But sometimes we're afraid of change, because as bad as it may be now, and it may be just kind of okay, it's still something I'm familiar with. I know it. See, I'm living in a familiar realm, and the change is unknown. I don't know how it's going to be. See, so therefore I'm resisting it. Or, I'm attachment. We're attached to some very, very stupid things, And personal attachments are always the most difficult, It's so obvious. I need to get away from this person. I mean, this relationship is caustic, it's toxic, it's causing me so many problems, mentally, maybe even physically. It has nothing to offer me good, but I'm so attached I can't get away from it. I mean, a change would, no matter what the change was, would probably be better than this, but because of this attachment, see, I don't go. I don't want to change. I'm offered opportunities to change. No, I won't do it. It's all kind of individual reasons, but the thing is, it's all material consciousness. When you go to another level of consciousness, then you want the change from being a materially attached, plagued, whatever situation, to one that is free of that, that really offers true hope. See, this is not a negative philosophy. This is a philosophy of absolute hope. What philosophy that you know other than such a philosophy I'm speaking that offers real hope? See, a better bank balance, a higher education, another material relationship that's temporary at best, you see, becoming famous, being number one in some event or some category or some status of life. What? That offers you something real? No, it doesn't. There's a video, I don't know the name of it, but it's really good. And all these high-level celebrities are telling about how they dreamed about achieving the goal of being where they were at now, and how disappointing it was when they finally achieved it. It's a guy, Richard Brand. Anybody heard of him? He's a British guy. And he's very, very vocal about it. And he just said, it ain't worth it, man. He said, I sacrificed my whole life, to get here, and now I'm here, and it just isn't, he had a few expletives to go with it. It just is not worth it, So we need something different, and what is different, really different, it's not just another different material situation. What is really different is a material world in my life, material reality, yoga lifestyle, mantras, relationships with the divine, and so on. That's what we're missing. See, and that's really different, And then you'll welcome the changes. My father died 8 years ago. My mother has dreams about him. He appears and is giving her advice and so on. Is that his soul? Is he trying to help her? Well, let me clarify something in the very beginning here. His soul, we do not have a soul. Try to understand this. We don't have a soul. We've heard this, oh, my soul. You go to, a lot of these religious teachings, and they put out the idea, okay, your soul goes to heaven or your soul goes to hell, and the body goes in the grave. Okay, so the body goes in the grave, soul goes to heaven, but what about me? Where do I go? See, I am the soul. I don't have a soul. I am the soul. So what you're asking is that him? And is he trying to help her? It's quite obvious to me that he is in the astral dimension. He's in his subtle body, and it can last a long time. It's like there's no set period of time when the soul will be transitioning from one physical body to the next. So they can be in this astral dimension for a long time. So he's there, and maybe he's learned something or whatever, and he is, trying to, I don't know what he's telling her, but if he really loved her and so on, he's still attached, he wants to help her, and so he's trying to do so. And maybe, because of the arrangement, he has access to her through dreams. It can be like that. Mm-hmm. But does he have the real knowledge to help her? This is the question, Doesn't mean because he's in the astral dimension that he's on some high spiritual level. When you die, it doesn't mean you become spiritually realized. You got your consciousness, you got your physical body, your mental body. It is what it is at the time of death. So you're just out there in the same situation. Maybe you realize something. Maybe he's trying to say, hey, my dear one, you don't die. I don't know what he's trying to say. You might wake up there and go, wow, man, yeah, I got a lot to tell people that I didn't know before. He's trying to give us some advanced information. Who knows? I don't know. But the point is, it can happen. What is self-realization? There's many levels of self-realization. The basic level is what I've taken you to tonight, understanding I am not this material body. Realizing the true self, the non-material self. That is the beginning of self-realization. See? And then if you go to the next level, it's not only realizing I'm spirit soul, but you realize I'm a part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. See, you realize there's a connection here between me, the spirit soul, and the Supreme Soul. And that my function is to have a loving relationship with the Supreme Soul. These are advanced levels of self-realization. And then acting in that eternal relationship of loving service. That's the highest level of self-realization, see. So we hear all the time about some master, and they'll say, oh, well, he's a self-realized soul or self-realized master. But what has he realized, The word is easy to say, but, has he realized the psychic dimension? Has he realized truly he's spirit soul? Is he understanding his position as spirit soul? Who knows? I don't know. It's not the same for everybody. Again, a very individual situation. What do the mantras mean? All right, so these are all names of the Supreme. So Gauranga is describing the Supreme. It means he whose body is more beautiful than molten gold, describing the form of the Supreme Lord. Hari Bo means chant the names of the Lord. Hari is one of the Lord's many, many names. Bo means to chant. So it's actually saying, chant the names of the Lord, Nitai means eternal. Gaur means golden. Gopala and Govinda are very similar in meaning. They mean basically the shepherd, the protector, the cow herdsman, or one who gives pleasure to the Brahmins, the cows, and the senses. Rama, another one of the many names of the Supreme Lord, which means the giver of transcendental pleasure to those who lovingly serve him. And Madana Mohana means he who is so attractive that he attracts even Cupid. In the material world, Cupid is the attractor. He shoots his arrow. It's real. There is a real personality, Cupid. And he shoots his arrow, and it makes it so there's an attraction between two people. So he's the Cupid or the attractor. But the Supreme Lord is so attractive that he attracts Cupid. So the name that describes that is Madana Mohana. If the condition of our collective anxiety has increased in this world, is the reason behind that in our basic increased attachment to the physical world, or in some other specific aspects in our time. This is a time called Kali Yuga. It's a time period of this kind of stuff. Weak psychic conditions, weak physical conditions, anxieties from, pollution and quarrels and chaos and confusion and so on. So in general, this time period that we live in is producing a lot of these things. But In addition, the lifestyles that we've created from our attachment to the physical and trying to enjoy life from a physical source has made it so that, the whole world is so unknown what's going to happen tomorrow. That's an anxiety-producing thing. Is going to be another war? Is, this going to happen? Is that going to happen? Is this, stock market going to crash? Is the, so-and-so going to invade whatever, Are the aliens coming or whatever, I mean, we don't know. It's just such a constant, uncertain life that we're forced to lead, and then they introduce all the gadgets to make our lives better, and it destroys us from the outside and the inside. Addiction to our smartphones and all the social media platforms. It's been proven in test after test, trial after trial, that I just read a report that the 3 things that are most damaging to the mental health today is, in this order, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. Yeah, and this is reality. We're in so much anxiety today, we won't get enough likes, on what we post on the internet, that people won't like me, or we'll get dislikes. And, and we're just all posing and playing games like we're all so happy and we're all so depressed. You're sitting over here, but it's time to post on the internet, Instagram time, so, you put on some lipstick and look good. Hi, everybody. This is, I'm having the greatest time. Can you believe it? We're just posing, man. We're just playing the game. We're not real, And so, therefore, all of this is just destroying us. And they're just coming up with more ways to make it worse. I watch people all the time just spend their whole life on the phone, just looking at what's on, following everybody's, post, and they're having more fun than me, and, so you got to play like you're having fun, but you're really not, and, it's just stupid life. That's not human life, man. That's crazy. So we got to change our whole life. There's a big change needed. If, like I say, we've always talked about change, and I answered the question earlier. If we don't change, we'll remain the same. Even though the world will change around, we'll be still stuck in our misery, our depression, our anxiety, our frustration, our emptiness, our loneliness. See, if that's where we want to be, then that's where we will be. But I don't think anybody really wants to be there, but they don't know how to change it. See, the yoga system does. You follow this system, you will change. If, again, you let it happen. See. Okay. How to overcome social anxiety. I'm giving you a solution to all levels of anxiety. Social anxiety, political anxiety, whatever anxiety. You see, even, anxieties and issues that come from, true psychic damage. You see, there's really something going on up there, but that can be improved too. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on psychedelic substances for spiritual growth? Well, I follow the Vedic system. And the Vedic system very clearly states no intoxication. No intoxication. And that includes psychedelic drugs, by the way. Now, I came through the 60s and 70s. I was right in the middle of that whole movement. And you can see a lot of things on psychedelic drugs that are, above the limitations of the gross physical world. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it allows you, it can allow you to enter into the psychic realm. It's another part of the material dimension. And it's a different part. And there's some things there that you can't see here. And there's also different qualities or different areas. Some are very amazing and some are very hellish. That's why some guys, they go on acid trips, for instance. They would have an amazing experience. They come back, just sparking, just like, and they just can't tell you how great it was. They can't tell you how great it was because you can't describe it, verbally. And then the next time they come back and they're just in complete shock, and they're screaming and, on the trip they're just going through hell because they went to a different ghetto. You see? It's just like out here. You go to some parts of, I don't know about Trondheim, it's all pretty good, but, go to the big cities, and you go to this part and it's nice and it's all friendly people, everything's good. And you go to this part and you're lucky to come back. It's the no-go zone, right? Because, it's not all the same. So the psychic realm's the same. The ghosts there and they haunt you and they grab you and so on. But people had the illusion that this is a spiritual experience because I went to a spiritual place. It's not spiritual. This is not a spiritual place. It is a realm where people are stuck in ghost bodies. They are still the same spirit souls covered with a subtle body. It is another subtler dimension of the material world. That's all it is. It is not a spiritual experience. See? So it cannot help you spiritually, and it can actually make it so you go backwards. Because number one, you're going against the system. You're not in harmony with the arrangement. You're in violation of the arrangement. And also, you can get truly psychically damaged. I had many friends that got really psychically damaged through the psychedelic world, and they never really came back. They got stuck there, and they came back, but they just weren't back. They're walking around, but they're really, really messed up, and it lasted till the end. Some committed suicide. It was just too horrific, It says if you do these kinds of things, you're drawing death very near. See, and that's the Vedic teaching. So no, don't do these things. There's the shamanism trip happening now, and all the amazing South American experiences and abilities to go this and do this, and it's not true. Spiritually speaking, it's not true. Yes, it'll do amazing things. You may think it's amazing, but it might be amazingly bad too. So if you follow the yoga system, if you follow the Vedic system, you'll be properly guided. If you don't, who knows what you're going to get? Who knows? You'll get what you get, you see. So that's all I can say about that. I have this dream about my son that died almost 6 years ago. In the dream, he is both dead and alive. In the dream, I am so confused about what to do. Basically, you can't do anything. Well, that's not true. If you chant these mantras, and this is actually true, if you chant these mantras, you love your son, obviously. I mean, most parents love their children, you see. Unfortunately, today, that's almost, not a correct statement either. But anyway, if you love your son, which I can see you do, you chant these mantras. Number one, you chant it for the glorification of the Supreme. Number, you chant it because, this is, good for you. But you can also chant these mantras for his benefit. Really, I mean, you're thinking like that. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. For his benefit, it can help him. Him, the spirit soul. It can actually make it so he's able to move to a different dimension. Maybe he's stuck in that. He's dead and alive. He's eternally alive, but he's dead to the external world, perhaps. I don't know the situation. I'm not a psychic, see, but I know the realities of how things work to a degree. So let's say he's dead to the external world, but he's alive because he's eternal spirit soul. So he's in both categories. So therefore, this can help him move on. Yeah, it can be like that. So the best thing you can do for yourself, for other people, for the world in general, and for your relationship with the Supreme is chant these mantras. it's the best thing you can do. If you do it, guaranteed you're doing the best thing you can do. If you don't do it, well, you miss an amazing opportunity, a fantastic opportunity. See? So don't be confused about what to do. Do what I suggested. And then, even if you keep having this dream, and you might have another dream. I know a lady in Siberia, Novosibirsk. Her son committed suicide. After I got to know her, he was, early 20s, committed suicide. She had some information about this philosophy. She was already chanting. So I explained a lot of things to her, which she knew some things and some didn't. And she has seriously taken to this process of mantra meditation. And she chanted on a regular basis. And she started having the understanding that he moved on, that she got a message. I don't know where it came from, and it doesn't matter. But she got a message that he had moved on because he was stuck. He was stuck because of how he left his body. And she was so relieved, and I'm just telling you one case I know of. And she knows, she's really convinced. I'm not, saying it happened or it didn't happen, but it really changed her life from being, so, affected by this to being in a completely different state of mind with a completely different attitude toward the whole thing. So, yeah. Is the answer to stop buying things and to get rid or give away all the stuff you have but you don't need? Good start. No. No, we need, the stuff you don't need, you don't need. Why have it, right? Some people are attached to stuff that they'll never use. Oh, maybe I'll use it sometime. That's why they have storage lockers, to make it so people with all this junk, their house is full, their garage is full, their basement's full. Now we just go put it in this guy's place. We'll just store it there and never use it. That's modern society. Let somebody else use it. Let somebody else that maybe needs it have it. Why not? That's a good thing. And it feels really good to get rid of all this stuff you don't need. It feels really good. Buying things, well, you don't need to buy things you don't need. When you need something, you buy it. We don't usually buy what we need, we buy what we want. But okay, you buy something you want, then get rid of something let it replace something that you already have. In other words, keep things simple, But don't think that the things you buy are going to make you happy, because they won't, But we're in a certain frame of mind, and we've got what we got. And you can't change overnight. Some people do, but most people don't. So don't struggle with all the things that aren't the best thing, but I know I need to be perfect, but just chant the mantras and let the internal change take place, and you can walk in a shop and I don't need anything. I don't need it. I got this, I got that. I don't need this stuff. I was in a sports shop in Oslo just 4 days ago or something. And this guy said, I said, all our people come in here. I had just said, he was, the guy working in the shop. He said, you like this jacket? I said, yeah, I like the jacket, but I don't need it. I got everything, He said, yeah, all our customers, they all got everything, but they always buy everything. And that's kind of the way it is, That's modern life. So gradually you start going, what I got's good enough. If it's worn out, you replace it, If something's obviously better, it can do things, okay, we'll get rid of this and pick up this, whatever. Don't sit around struggling to be the perfect ascetic and renounced person who doesn't have anything. I'm going to give everything away. No, that's artificial too. If that's really where you're at, then all right. But it usually puts your inconvenience onto somebody else's life. You're always borrowing their stuff, How to control your body in situations where your conscious self takes the back seat and you observe your body act out and shake. My mind is mostly calm, trying to take control. You know, if you follow this yoga lifestyle, if you associate with other people that are following this lifestyle, you know, your body will more cooperate with you. See? Your body is a tool, and you become more and more able to really control it. You see, both the physical and mental bodies. You become the master. Right now, in most all cases, the senses and the mind are the master, and we're the servant. And whatever they say do, we do. But we gain control. Again, we become the master, and they become subservient to us. Then we control them. That's the system. See? And then you'll be, you know, much better off. What is your view on seeing the future and long-distance healing? You know, again, come on. I say, oh, this is the last one. And I'm in anxiety, man. You just brought me another one. No, I'm not in anxiety. I'm saying that about you, that you guys might just be over it, you know. But anyway, you can leave. Like I say, some people, you know, you don't have to stay. Okay, what is your view on seeing the future and long-distance healing? If you have the ability, the future is your karma or somebody else's karma. The future is a result of your activities, either now or previously. So, if you can foresee the future, that means somehow you have that ability to see it, and you see it, but you don't try to figure everything out. You don't try to project and speculate on the future. See, that's why this philosophy of be here now is so popular, because most of us are always trying to figure out what's going to happen and worrying about it. You know, is it going to really be? See, so if you just think about what's happening now and don't think about the future, then that's a relief, because you're not always in anxiety about what might happen. You know, either good or bad. You get attached to, oh, it's going to be so good, or it's going to be so bad. Either way, it's disturbing. So if you're just thinking about right now, it's calming, right? That's why it works. And that's why people are so gravitating toward this, because it's a little bit of relief. It's not a solution, but it's a temporary relief. Like if you got a headache and you take, you know, an aspirin, you know, a Tylenol or something, yeah, it's not the solution because it's an underlying problem, but the relief is relief, and so it feels good, right? So these temporary little adjustments, okay, just thinking now, it's a relief, so it feels better. But we're trying to give you the real solution, see? So we're not trying to see the future. And if somehow it's obviously predictable, then it is what it is, and you don't worry about it. Whether it's a political future, or whether it's a business future, or whether it's, you know, some physical future that's going to be for you or somebody, whatever, you know. So that's just how it is, you know. And when it comes time to deal with it, deal with it. Don't start trying to solve it now, because you're not there yet. This is the point. We're trying to always be somewhere else and just fail to. That's why when we ask, we go into further guidance on chanting the mantras, we say focus on the mantras. Don't be thinking about, oh, what am I going to eat after the meditation's over? Or, you know, am I still going to have time to go to the movies or go do this? Don't be like, think about the mantras. It's kind of like be here now, but be here now with the mantras. The power of now in the mantras. Like that. See, this is much better. Long distance healing. Does it work or does it not work? Maybe it can work. I'm not saying, there's a lot of people that say they can do these things that cannot, you know. Some people have very definite abilities to do some what seems like remarkable things. You know, maybe they have access to some psychic dimension and they can pull some energy from somewhere that will help. You know, they just see a picture of you. Most of these guys cannot, I can tell you that. You know, but I'm not saying nobody can. And there's relative documented cases where it seemed like long distance healing was the reason. Whether it was or not, I don't know. But don't put a lot of faith in this and hope in this. If it works, all right, you know. But some of this psychic stuff is just that. It's psychic, and it can damage you, you know. So I'm always very, very careful, because the psychic world is a very powerful world, but our psyche is very fragile, and you can get into a lot of trouble. And I know people that have been very damaged, you know. You know, one guy, it doesn't matter, we could go on with many stories, but anyway, be very careful. Very, very careful. And so I don't put a lot of faith in these things, and I don't promote these things, you know, because it's not the Vedic teaching. Is the bhakti-yoga mantra chanting without introduction and practice of the core yoga principles, such as detachment, self-knowledge, practice, and so on? Or are your teachings addressed towards new beginners, and chanting is just a start? Where is the work with yourself? The bhakti-yoga system of chanting mantras, and it's not the only thing we're recommending, but it's the number one thing we're recommending. That in and of itself takes care of all these things, like you mentioned: detachment, self-knowledge. Of course, practice, you must practice the mantra, so practice is definitely there. See? It's for everybody, from the person who chants it the first time, and maybe that's the only time he ever chants it, but like I said earlier, that definitely will have a big impact on this person's future. So it's for the very, very absolute beginner, doesn't know anything about yoga, and it's so potent that even if a person is walking down the street, just going about his business, and hears somebody chanting, and this enters his ears, he's exposed to this chanting, that person in that body, that spirit soul, will get spiritually benefited. It's the dog that runs across the street in front of him. If you go, Haribo, Haribo, it helps the person in the dog body. That's how powerful these mantras are. See? So don't think you got to be a, quote, high-level yogi for the mantras to work. And don't think that there's not a lot of self-work here. You know, just to do it on a very regulated basis takes some work. It takes some practice. You know, and all the other things, vegetarian diet, you know, many people are, but many people aren't. You see, so gradually that's going to be, you know, part of the teaching that, you know, it would be very, very beneficial if you follow it. If you chant these mantras, many times you'll come to a point of realization. Your vision and so on will clear, and you'll just go, I'm not going to get involved in that, you know, animal slaughter and eating meat anymore. What am I doing here? What am I thinking? Your compassion increases, your mercy increases, your consciousness is completely different. You know, I went through many, many, many changes, you know, along the way. You know, I didn't do this from birth. I can tell you that, you know. So it's all built into the bhakti system. It's all built in, you know. And these other core yoga principles, they're included. You will become detached. You know, you will be detached from the world because you got another world, you see. Self-knowledge, like what have I've already given you, all kinds of information about who you are, and so on like that. So yeah, bhakti is for everybody. It's not just for, oh, I went through this and this and this and this, and now I'm ready for bhakti. You know, well, that's good you went through this and this, but usually people go through this and this are so confused by the time they get to bhakti, they can't even relate to it. You know, like, wow.